black and white, but if yours isn't, you can go to Image Adjustments, Desaturate, because this effect works best when we use black and white. Now, I found this stock image of smoke on a stock image website called Stock Exchange. You can find this on any image search by searching smoke, and you'll get lots of results similar to this. Now when I drag the picture onto this layer, it's pretty big, so I'm going to hit Command T to transform, and while holding Shift to constrain proportions, I'm going to drag it inward to make it smaller. If you want to know how I zoomed out like that, it's Option and scroll. Now let's get it back to 100%, and I notice that the tail of the smoke is pointing in the opposite direction. So what I want to do is go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. Now the tail of the smoke is matching more well with the cigarette, but it's still a little off, so I'm going to go to Command T to transform again, go a little bit outside of the corner and rotate it while holding Shift. Or not while holding Shift actually. You can rotate this without holding Shift. Once you get it lined up better, that looks about good, we want to take care of these edges here. These edges do not blend well. So grab an eraser at about 300 pixels, or whatever size works best with your canvas, at 0 hardness, and start erasing the edges to make them blend. This way we have no apparent stop to our image. Now don't worry about all this black, because we're going to set this on the blending mode screen and it's going to disappear. So blending mode, screen, and all the black disappears. Now I'll take care of any other details. Right now I want to erase the area on his face because it's just making the image look unreal. And that looks about right. But we still want to take care of this wisp of smoke coming directly out of the cigarette. So I'm going to create a selection with my rectangular marquee, and I'm going to feather it. Right click feather about 15. Now I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Warp, and you get this grid here. You can pinch and drag any of these corners or boxes in whatever way you'd like. So what I want to do is make the very tail of the smoke thinner and more formed to the cigarette, so it doesn't look so big. Now you can drag all these corners out and learn the warp tool. It's a really useful tool. And even if you don't want to blend smoke, this is a way that you can blend fire and all other types of images with the warp tool. As you can see, I have blended it into the end of the cigarette a bit better, but there's a part that overlays the cigarette that had an edge on it. So I'm going to grab my blur tool and blur it. And after that I'm going to grab my eraser tool on a very soft amount and just erase the tip of the cigarette. Now you gotta understand, the more compatible your two images are, such as the smoke and the person, the less work you have to do, like I just did. But let's lower the opacity of the smoke layer a tiny bit because it's looking a bit strong right now. At about 50% to 60% looks good for me. You can use a different opacity that works for your image. But this has lowered the opacity of the tail of the smoke too much. So I'm going to create a circular selection over this smoke, feather it about 20 pixels, and layer the copy. This way I get a stronger opacity without adjusting the rest of the smoke, because I want this to stand out. So as you can see, it's a little bit thicker now. As a finishing touch, I'm going to make it look like the cigarette is lit and inhaling. So on a new layer, I'm going to grab my brush tool on an orangish-red color and start softly brushing in the cigarette part. The brush size is about 15 for me and at 0% hardness. Now set the blending mode of this layer to screen. To further blend it, we are going to grab the eraser tool at about 100 pixels at 0 hardness and tap around the outsides of the layer. And there you go. Just remember that the more compatible your two original images are to start with, the less work you are going to have to do to create a good final image. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe for more and check out these previous tutorials. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.